Hello, everybody, and tonight, welcome, first of all, to the Confidence Corner. Today, we're talking about 3 C's to command any room with confidence. And I don't know about you, but I love to be able to walk into a room and command it because we feel so confident. We know that our ideas are being heard, and we come across in a way where people want to listen to us. There's something about that confidence that really shows. Hello, for those of you joining. So the thing is, the first step is, or the first C, so 3 C's to command any room with confidence. The first one is credibility, straight out credibility. And one of the things that we can do specifically is to use our voice. So there's multiple things under credibility, but how do you actually show credibility? And we've got to speak with conviction. Too often what happens is we speak with a question mark and we're, a little hesitant. We might even make ourselves smaller, have those filler words. And so we want to speak with conviction. So let's think about how do you actually do this? The challenge is when we use upspeak. So for example, upspeak or uptalk are those phrases that make us seem like we are coming across in a way that asks a question. And it's basically a statement that ends with a comma or a question mark. And the key here is to make sure that you have the declarative tone. And all you're doing is punctuating what you're saying. For example, if I were to say to you, like what happens a lot in people's introductions, "Hi, I'm Karen Laus, and I'm originally from Minneapolis, but now I live in San Francisco," versus, "Hi, I'm Karen Laus. I'm originally from Minneapolis, but now I live in San Francisco." So I've got that nice, strong tone. All I'm doing, folks, is punctuating. That's all I'm doing is putting that period at the end of the sentence. I still can have vocal variety in there, which makes it sound really great because it makes it sound more interesting because I'm varying up the volume, the pitch, and the pace. All of that is really, really key. And when we do that, we come across naturally as more influential. So all of this is still under that first C of credibility. The other thing, which is more of a focus on another behavior, is to come across with a warmth in your facial expression, because that also makes that combination of likability related to credibility is a really nice package to have together. So that strong voice, project with volume. And by the way, a lot of times people project, but they project from their throat. So what happens is that takes away from the strength that you could have if you were speaking from your diaphragm, which is that wonderful muscle right around your stomach. So make sure that you are projecting with that muscle. That is going to give a much stronger persona to your voice, but mostly it's going to have great strength and power along with it. So that is credibility. The next C is clarity. This is something that happens a lot where we don't end up being clear. 2 things happen typically in any type of speaking scenario. Let's say you're in a meeting at work or wherever, all that comes out is a bunch of data. Basically, it's a data dump of information. The other thing that happens is we ramble and give too much detail without giving the point. I was actually on a call a couple of weeks ago with the CEO, and I wasn't exactly sure why he was setting up the meeting with me, but I was coaching one of his C-suite people, and so he probably wanted to learn a little bit more. Who knows? But he was never involved with the decision of bringing me on. So I decided to ask him, which I always do in the beginning of a call, is what would give you the most value out of this, or rather, what is the point of the meeting in the nicest way, of course. Hey, help me understand the objective of this meeting. And I'll tell you, it took twice of me asking. The first time he's just started talking, and it was just a bunch of talking. And I was thinking, I still don't know why I'm meeting with him. What is the point here? And then thankfully, when I asked again, he did tell me a little bit more, but he still wasn't super clear. I'm not going to lie. He said something like, well, tell me a little bit more about you. And I was thinking, wow, this is really not still very clear. So we've got to make sure that we are clear. Hello, Mentoring a Dream. Hello, Selma. Hello, Sharon. Great to see you. The thing here is clarity is so critical, because if you walk in data dumping, that's going to be unrelatable and people aren't going to figure out why you're talking to them. And then if you ramble, then you don't come across as clear either. So here's a tip for how to stop rambling and get to the point. And I always like to tell people I am a recovering rambler myself, so I get it. It can be challenging. But the key is to notice first that you are rambling and then stop and say out loud, and my point is this. When we stop and say those things out loud, it is so powerful because it helps us to focus when we say, my point is this, and it helps the audience know, oh, she has a point, and then everybody focuses. So that clarity is really critical. So again, the first two, we have 3 C's to command any room with confidence today. The first one is credibility. The second one is clarity. And now the third one is claim it. Claim your power. Claim your confidence. And let's talk about what this looks like. Too often what happens is there's actually a number one rule that we often don't think about, and that is to make sure that you set boundaries. And so claiming your power is all about setting boundaries, and that is a key thing to life. And if we can, first of all, stop saying yes to every request and stop for a moment and ask, do I really want to do this thing that I'm being asked? Is it in alignment with my values or my other priorities? And is it something like when you think about the relationship with the person that can factor into this as well? But the key here is to make sure that you set those boundaries so you claim your worth, you really honor yourself is truly what it is. It's about honoring yourself, and you don't want to give away your power. And too often that can happen sometimes when we don't set boundaries, where we let everybody walk all over us, or we're more concerned about people pleasing. And I will say too, as somebody myself who has had challenges with the people pleasing concept, wanting to make everybody happy and not wanting to rock the boat, those are all natural things that happen. And yeah, thank you. It is hard to do sometimes. I totally agree. Yeah, and so sometimes it's, one of the things that I tell people actually that has also helped me. If you have a tendency to say yes when you really want to say no, or you say yes too often, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're maybe even feeling bitter or resentful, or you're just feeling burnt out, start for even a week and let your first reaction be no, not out loud, but just to yourself. Say no when people are asking you to do something. Try that on. It's an experiment to see, what does it feel like if I were to say no? And then when you start getting more practiced at that, because what I find fascinating is that our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. And so when we practice, and this is also why role plays are so powerful, the more we practice, the better we're going to get at this when it's a real life scenario where we really need to bring that skill to the table. So those are my tips for you tonight, folks. Again, 3 C's to command any room with confidence. The first C being credibility. The second C being clarity. I had to think for a sec. What was the second C? Clarity. And then the third being claim your power. And when we do all of those 3 things, it just makes for a much more influential space, because you're going to come across with so much more power and strength. And by the way, if you are interested in learning more about how I serve, I would love to talk with you. If you're looking to deliver a better speech, you're wanting to speak up at a meeting, I would love to talk with you about that. And right now, if you work for a corporation, I would love to talk to you about being an ambassador of my mission 10 and 10. And that is eradicating self-doubt, in 10 million women in the next 10 years. And what I'm doing right now is I'm partnering with corporations who want to elevate and advance women, because when we have more women in leadership roles and when we have companies where women are more comfortable speaking up and they're encouraged to do so, we have more thriving cultures, more innovation, and the world is simply a better place. And we make more money with more women in leadership roles. That's a proven fact. All right, folks, have a wonderful evening. This is Karen Laus signing off from the Confidence Corner, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining. Sharon, great to see you here. Thanks for coming.